We're going to talk about something you probably came across today, maybe without even realizing it. The tiny sesame seed. Yep, it's on your burger bun, it's in your hummus, and right now it's at the center of this wild global economic puzzle that's giving some of the world's biggest food producers a massive headache.
So, get this. Here's the core question for today. How on earth can you sell 26% more of something? I mean, you're working harder, shipping more, everything's up, only to look at your bank account and see the exact same amount of money as last year. It sounds totally backward, right? Well, it's the bizarre reality for a major player in the Sesame game. Let's figure out how this is even possible.
Okay, here's our game plan. First, we're going to get a bird's eye view of the whole Sesame world. Then, we'll dive right into India's really strange situation. After that, we'll see how Pakistan is just crushing it, completely bucking the trend. We'll explore the massive harvests in Africa that are shaking everything up. And finally, we'll put all the pieces together and ask, what does this mean for prices?
All right, first up, a world of sesame. The global market is just buzzing right now. You've got these huge harvests, and supply is just pouring in from all over. Now, normally that would mean prices are going crazy, up and down. But they're not. Things are weirdly calm. And the reason for this calm in the middle of a storm, well, it really comes down to one single, gigantic customer.
And that customer? It's China. China has a massive appetite for sesame seeds. But right now, they're playing it cool. See, instead of just buying up all this new supply, Chinese importers are being careful, focusing on using up the stock they already have. This super cautious approach from the number one buyer is basically putting a ceiling on prices, and it's creating this stable but incredibly competitive market for everyone else.
And that fierce competition leads us straight into our second chapter, India's export paradox. This is where we really get to the bottom of that impossible question we kick things off with.
So, on the surface, everything looks great for India. I mean, check this out. In the first 8 months of 2025, they shipped out 26% more sesame seeds by volume than the year before. That's a huge jump. They're getting way more product out the door. Sounds like a win, right?
Well, here's the kicker. While they were selling all those extra seeds, the price they could charge for each and every ton, it plummeted by 21%. They're selling a whole lot more, but getting paid a whole lot less for it. I think you can see where this is headed.
The easiest way to think about it is like this. Imagine you own a coffee shop, and one day you managed to sell 26% more lattes. Fantastic. But to do it, you had to slash your prices so much that at the end of the day, your total earnings didn't change one bit. You did all that extra work for literally nothing. It's the classic definition of running faster just to stay in the same place.
And the hard numbers, well, they tell the whole story. Look at this. In early 2024, India sold about 180,000 metric tons and made $379 million. Now, fast forward to 2025, they sell almost 228,000 metric tons and make $378 million. That's a 26% jump in volume for basically a 0% change in revenue. The data couldn't be clearer. It's just wild.
But here's the thing. Not everyone is feeling this squeeze. And that brings us to our third stop, Pakistan's China boom. While India was stuck running in place, its neighbor was absolutely sprinting ahead.
And really, their story can be summed up with just one number, 87%. That is the insane year-over-year increase in Pakistan's sesame exports straight to China. They didn't just sell a little more, they fundamentally grew their piece of the pie in the world's biggest market.
Now, this didn't just happen by accident. No way. This was pure strategy. You had Pakistani officials and trade groups, led by their ambassador to China, actively setting up events, building relationships, and inking major deals. They were directly connecting their farmers to Chinese buyers. Super smart.
But let's put this into perspective for a second. Pakistan's 55,000 metric tons, that's a monumental win for them, but it's still just a drop in the bucket compared to China's total need, which is about 1.5 million tons a year. So yeah, it's a huge breakthrough for Pakistan, but it also shows you just how massive the opportunity still is.
So, what was their secret sauce? Well, reports point to a trifecta of factors. First, they really focused on improving the quality of their seeds. Second, they just got lucky with great weather. And third, they leaned into their strong economic partnership with China, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, which is this huge project designed to make trade between them smooth as silk.
So okay, we've got a cautious buyer in China, a squeezed seller in India, and a rising star in Pakistan. What's driving all this drama? Well, it's an absolute tsunami of global supply. And a huge part of that brings us to Section 4, Africa's bumper harvest.
Let's take a quick tour, shall we? We'll start in Ethiopia, a global powerhouse for sesame. And the word on the ground there is that the new harvest is not only bigger, but the quality is better than ever.
Then you hop over to Nigeria, and guess what? It's the exact same story. The harvest is going off without a hitch. It's already more than halfway done, which means even more supply is about to hit the market.
And the reason for all this incredible output? It's actually pretty simple. The weather. All across Africa's main sesame belt, we're talking Nigeria, Ethiopia, Sudan, Burkina Faso, the conditions have been perfect. Hot, dry, exactly what you need for a massive, successful harvest.
Okay, so this global flood of sesame seeds leads us to our final and maybe most important question. What happens now with prices? When there's just so much of something to go around, how do you even decide what it's worth anymore?
The main takeaway is really this. The global market is saturated. It's overflowing. There is more than enough sesame for everyone. And what this does is it completely flips the power dynamic. All of a sudden, the buyers are holding all the cards, and they can afford to be really picky.
And that pickiness introduces this really important idea, quality differentiation. It sounds a little academic, but the concept is super simple. When there's plenty of quantity, buyers start obsessing over quality. The top dollar is now going to go to the sellers who have the cleanest, the biggest, the absolute best seeds. It's no longer about if you have sesame, it's all about how good your sesame is.
Which leaves us with one final thought. We've seen how this tidal wave of supply created a paradox for one country and a golden opportunity for another. And in this new world of plenty, yeah, it's easy to say that quality is now king. But is that really the whole picture? Or will smart strategy, strong relationships, and just pure logistics still decide who really wins the global sesame game? That's the billion-dollar question the entire industry is trying to answer.